Uh, Hello, everyone. Today I'm joined by my great friend Roderick Higgins, and you know, tell me a little bit about yourself. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm Raudric. I'm in Houston, Texas. So down there, I grew up around that area. I spent a lot of time reading books, getting into random little rabbit holes here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I remember I actually met you through like Umar, who was also like on the podcast. Funny enough.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my. Yeah, that's how we met. Oh my.
yeah,
That was a cool conversation we had that night. That was pretty long too.
yeah. It was pretty deep. I remember it was like we are talking about a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff, but like
Yeah,
specifically,
we
I remember it was like about alchemy and stuff.
yeah, alchemy did get brought up a lot with the Splendor Solis book, and I was showing you all those pictures.
Yeah, I
Those
remember. I remember.
alchemical plates. Yeah. Those are
Yeah,
real interesting. Those depict like very like one part of the plates they show the four stages of alchemy. And then there's another part of those plates that shows the seven processes. So you have four stages, seven processes, or that was eight. Seven processes. Yeah, and it goes through all that.
wait. So, what exactly are the seven processes? If you don't mind me asking.
The seven processes. We can go through them. Um, I can get those up real quick. So those phases, those seven processes, um, they are the ways that a substance is taken and it becomes something else. So in there, it takes them through these these realms that are ruled over by like seven of these planets, right? You have a different planet depicted at the top of each one. So it starts with Saturn, and then it goes to Jupiter, and then it goes to Mars, and then Venus, and then Mercury, and the Moon, and then the Sun. Yeah,
Oh, it's pretty cool.
and those all have different meanings in what they mean, like it's done to the substance, whether that be like a spiritual internal thing or like an external, whether you're trying to turn a substance to something else.
I remember I remember I was doing some research and it was like how like certain metals they represent like one certain like a planet.
Yeah, they do. So with Saturn, you have lead there, and then at Jupiter you have tin, and
Yeah,
then for Mars you have iron, Venus you have copper, the moon you have silver, and then the sun you have gold.
yeah. I always thought that was kind of interesting how I mean it kind of makes sense too. Like how silver is the moon and how gold is the sun.
Yeah, I feel like those are like two of the metals that I feel like humans are kind of the most interested in, right? Like as far as
Yeah,
the jewelry that people will wear, it's
yeah,
the sun. It's the sun and the moon. It's like two of the most important planets to us.
yeah. No, that's true. Funny
Yeah,
enough, you
it's like the
mentioned
sun and
jewelry.
the moon.
Yeah. No, funny enough, you mentioned jewelry. Like my like blue rings, like the metal around them actually is made of silver.
Yeah. So you're
Yeah.
like holding like a piece of that moon
Yeah.
idea right there.
Yeah. The lunar idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel any connections to the lunar ideas? Do you have any the yeah. Do you have any connections to it? Do you think anything about it?
Mm, I wouldn't say I wouldn't know, to be honest, because
Yeah.
I know like silver kind of represents the moon somewhat, right?
Yes, silver does represent the moon. Yeah, and a lot of depictions of it. There's a lot of art with silver that is
Yeah.
connected to the moon. Yeah.
You know, what's actually funny that she mentioned the moon is I think I told you this today I think or how I went to like Moonstone Beach, which is in California, right?
Yeah, moonstone.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like there's certain rocks and like it kind of looks like the moon, like those rocks. And
Do they
went
really?
to
Did you bring any?
yeah, I mean they are a little hard to find. It's not impossible, but like if you dig through like the sand, you'll eventually find, a couple.
Okay.
Yeah. But luckily, I was able to find like a few, and I was able to like bring them back home.
That's awesome, dude. You brought a
Yeah,
piece of that beach with you.
yeah. Piece
Yeah.
of the moon, right?
Yeah, a piece of the moon beach with you.
Yeah. I remember you were telling me that you're into like history as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, I am into like some of the more alternative theories of history. So we found evidence of humans that goes back to like 200,000 years old. It's like,
Okay.
wow, that's pretty old, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's what they say they find. Yeah.
Yeah, like
It's just like,
humanity is kind of old. Like, but obviously, like when you compare it to like probably the universe's age, it's probably not that big, right?
oh no, we're definitely
Yeah.
not as ancient as the universe. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I think I was talking to someone about it, like how in the old like in the ancient times, right before the advent of technology as today, one of the things is that, you know, it was hard to distract yourself from your goals and just like in general,
Mm.
you know what I mean? And like
Yeah, there's definitely a bunch of that now.
yeah. And I remember like that's honestly I feel like that's where a lot of like philosophy just came from because you couldn't sit on your phone or do anything else to distract you, right?
Mm.
And you were just in your mind, right?
Yeah, you were just like observing the world. Like there wasn't all of the internet to distract you, right? Even if you got something like a book, it was probably like you just had one book. It wasn't like you could just go to the library and get however many books you wanted.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's kind of is how alchemy was kind of developed. It was just reading through books. Like you got like one book. Honestly, this is like any subject, but alchemy in particular, like, it would be like something someone wrote, right? And then you would read it and you would rely on that knowledge and an experiment. And, this thing just continued on as like a chain.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
how we were actually able to grow that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the history of alchemy is really awesome. The way it's like just like kept its somehow made its way throughout history. Like it's never gone away entirely. Like it's always been somewhere in history.
That's true.
The
Yeah.
alchemical ideals. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard of like any of the philosophers that didn't like that participated in alchemy.
Um, Not so much philosophers, but scientists I know who
Yeah.
have. I have heard of scientists who have dabbled and like not so much dabbled, but really were into that type of knowledge. There's Paracelsus for one, like you could talk about him, the like father of toxicology. One of his big quotes is it's the dose that makes the poison, you know? So
Oh,
it's like yeah, so it's like the dose, like how much of the substance that is what either makes it a cure or a poison. It's like nothing is either or intrinsically.
okay.
Yeah.
Out of like all the like alchemists you've studied, um, or like the people that you like looked into, would you say there's any one in particular that like stands out to you?
I would say Paracelsus, the
Oh,
man who I
him.
was just talking about before, yeah, he's done or he did he's no longer alive, I don't think, unless he figured out a way to live forever. And
Yeah,
just didn't tell anybody. Um, which is tied into like alchemy, like that sort of
yeah. Funny
idea
enough,
that people were searching for. Yeah.
especially the
But
Chinese, right?
yeah, the China, yeah, the yeah, like different elixirs of immortality popped up all over there. Like people saying that different things made someone live forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember, funny enough, I think the story of like gunpowder is that the guy, I forgot the guy's name who invented it, right? But he was actually looking for, uh, he was trying to figure out how to make immortality, right? How to get
Oh
it.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then ironically, he made something that takes life
Yeah, he
instead
made
of
something
like, instead
it's
of prolonging
crazy.
it, right?
Yeah. What a twist of irony.
Yeah.
It's crazy how it's like that idea that like the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Just this
Oh,
idea that
yeah, it's true. That's true.
you
Yeah,
can you can want to go and do something that's like good, but like you have to look at what it actually is to know if it's something that can destroy, right? Because fireworks, that's also an aspect that has been
yeah,
created from gunpowder, right? And that's like a beautiful thing that I
yeah,
think most people kind of like when they see them, they're like, oh wow, that's like cool at the very
yeah,
least. Yeah. So it's like again, it's like neither thing is like good or bad. It's like how do we use it?
yeah. It's kind of like, I guess, a duality in a way, because it's like
Mm.
something that's like beautiful but also destructive at the same time.
Yeah, like humanity. Like I
Yeah,
feel like we embody that very well.
yeah,
Like we've created some incredibly so just incredible things, right? That like you
yeah.
could look at it today and marvel at. And then we've also like done some very terrible things that
That's true.
that
Yeah,
ends life and yeah, scars the earth. Yeah.
yeah. One thing, like obviously I think a lot of religions have this concept of, heaven and hell, right? Good and evil, right?
Mm.
But I feel like the earth, right? I actually have this quote. It's like, the earth is the crossroads between heaven and hell. Because
Mm.
obviously the concept of heaven is that, everything is good here, right? And the concept of hell is that everything is bad here, right? Or evil. The earth is like kind of in the middle where both of those exist.
Yeah, we're kind of like in the middle of it.
Yeah,
We're right in the middle of it. We have all the good in the world and all the evil in the world.
yeah. I'm sure you probably heard the phrase like heaven on earth or hell on earth, right? I mean, I
Hmm.
feel like that kind of like embodies that like idea.
Yeah, we definitely. I think like humans are the ones that can create hell on earth or heaven on earth, right? It's through our
Yeah,
actions and how we treat people and what we decide to spend time on.
yeah. It's also a bit in the mind too. Like I would feel like,
Absolutely, that's a
yeah,
that's a big aspect. I think a lot of the evils of the world are from not knowing how to deal with the mind.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I can say the same about the body. A lot of the evils in the world are caused from not not dealing with the body properly. It's like you have to deal with your mind, body, and spirit in the proper ways. Like you can't just like yeah.
No, that's true. Yeah. Trying to recall like I know I know you said you were into like philosophy and stuff, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Is
I've read a lot of philosophy.
really okay. Is there Yeah, did you ever read like ancient philosophy, or, like the ancient philosophers or anything?
So like are you talking about like Plato, Socrates,
Yeah,
like that direction?
yeah,
Yeah, I have. So like the Hesiod, Heraclitus, those are like some guys. Um, Plato and Socrates, those are two like that like interested in. Socrates, like he was actually a soldier, like a lot of
yeah,
men in that time. So he was like a soldier who like just said things, like he was like that was his personality. Um,
yeah.
I really appreciate like knowing that part of his history and like reading the things that he's like are attributed to him, they're
Yeah.
really like it really shows you that like someone from that position in life still understand like how much they understand.
No, that's true.
Yeah. You're a
Because
fighter, right?
yeah.
You think
Oh
fighting
yeah.
gives you yeah, when you see like as a fighter, you just anyone who engages in combat sports, like there's something that you understand from that about life that you didn't understand when you weren't doing those things.
Oh, that's true. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you've heard of like Bruce Lee, right?
Yeah, be like water, my friend.
Yeah, he's a very big like philosopher, and I was fortunate enough to read some of his books, and it's like
Mhm.
not even just about fighting, but he writes about like a bunch of things, just life in general. You know what I mean? And it's like very interesting. Like he's not just so fixated on fighting, but it's also like philosophical aspects of life, right?
Yeah, it's like a philosophical warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it translates and he's able to add them together.
absolutely, man. Have you heard of the Book of Five Rings?
Yeah, I've read that one, yeah.
Yeah, man, that's another one that I think is like an awesome like combination of both of those things, like a warrior's mindset and like combined with the philosopher's mindset, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, those really see into the truth of things. I like those books. Like the Bruce Lee works, right? He has some like the philosophy of Jeet Kune Do. Um
Yeah.
that quote, be like water, my friend, that always sticks with me. Like be like water, right? Like
Yeah.
don't let yourself become rigid in life.
No, that's true because um
Or
I mean
I
he
guess it's oh
oh you were saying something?
I was gonna say don't let the like be too rigid so that you're inflexible, right?
Yeah.
That's what I think it is.
I think the biggest aspect of water is that like it adapts. So it can be very firm, but it can also be very
Mm,
loose, right?
yeah,
And it's like, I think you said something like water can flow or can crash, right?
yeah. Water
Yeah,
can
the
flow or
most
crash.
infamous quote of his, right? And in fighting, it's kind of like that concept is very much showed, right? Especially like in grappling or striking, really, you know? It's like because it's like if you're
Yeah,
too like rigid while you're throwing a punch, it's like it won't really work, right? And if you're
it
too
won't.
loose,
Yeah,
like kind of need that balance a bit.
yeah, because then you have no impact.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
man.
I just okay. I was gonna say something, but I forgot. It slipped my mind. But trying to remember because it was like something Bruce Lee said. Trying to remember. Oh yeah, I was basically gonna say like Bruce Lee, like you talked about Jeet Kune Do, which is like
Mm.
basically a precursor to what MMA was, right?
Yeah,
And and it's like he has this quote, and it's like, the best fighter, isn't like a boxer, a judo man, or a karate man, right? It's someone who kicks too good for a boxer, throws too good for a karate man, and punches too good for a judo man, right?
style bender,
Yeah, exactly.
style bender. Yeah.
Yeah, literally. Funny enough, like Izzy,
Have
right?
you have you ever seen have you ever watched Avatar: The Last Airbender? Is that
Yeah,
have
I've
you ever
watched it.
watched
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Yeah, I think that show, like how they show the Avatar mastering different elements. Yeah, I
yeah,
really like that aspect of it. Like,
yeah. It's very
and the
much,
struggles that can come with the different elements, like you kind of symbolically have those in your life, right? Like maybe you have an
yeah,
issue with fire, right? Or you have an issue with water or earth.
yeah. No, that's true. I mean, I feel like that show did show like how you can, how you're supposed to like mold all these martial or these elements into one, right? Similar to how you do with martial arts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like an MMA, right? Like you want a good mix of
yeah,
all that if you're doing MMA, right?
yeah. That's true. And
Yeah.
honestly, like I feel like someone who did it really well, I'm sure you've heard of him, GSP.
Yeah, GSP, yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Like it, but like, yeah, it's just phenomenal everywhere. Like he knows
Yeah,
what he's doing.
yeah. Like with him, he's so good everywhere. It's like he doesn't really have a weakness. You know what I mean? Obviously, like
Yeah,
anyone can be defeated, but like for him, it's like he's so well rounded that it's like you can't really pick
it
one thing.
it's like where do you attack him from?
Yeah, he's good
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah. You can't go anywhere because he has it covered.
Yeah, I remember. Touching back to what you said about Socrates, right? And you
Mm,
said like how he was a warrior, but he was also a philosopher, right? And one thing I remember that he said is that um, he said something like a good runner can never be the equivalent of a good wrestler, right?
mm, yeah,
Basically implying like how important it is to learn like some form of combat.
Yeah, I think it teaches you something, definitely, when you're like when you're rolling or when you're like boxing with someone, right? It's not like,
Yeah,
especially if you're just like free sparring, like it's not like you're not like practicing anything, you're sparring, or
yeah,
even going and then competing, you know, especially when you're competing, right? Because then you have other
yeah,
people watching you. It definitely teaches you something.
yeah,
And I don't know, like there's people who can articulate that into words, like Bruce Lee, um,
yeah.
Sun Tzu, you know, these different warrior poets. Have you looked into Sun Tzu,
Yeah, I've actually, funny
Art
enough,
of
I
War?
have read the book Art of War. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, that one is also pretty good because it also talks about like military strategy as well.
Mm. Yeah. It's like martial experience. You don't,
Yeah,
yeah. I think that's like a type of knowledge and like a intimacy with like how humans are in that place that like most people
yeah,
don't experience.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Have you have you ever seen? I mean, have you ever studied Marcus Aurelius by any chance?
Marcus Aurelius. I've read Meditations.
Oh, you read it.
I've read Meditations. Yeah.
Fortunately enough, I actually read it too.
You read, yeah. Yeah, that's a incredible book, The Stoics.
Yeah,
Like seeing how the Stoics treated life, how they saw
yeah,
things. Yeah. I think we could use some more of that.
yeah. One thing I remember, one of the biggest, I think, criticisms of meditations is that it's too repetitive, right? But it's like, funny thing is, it was never meant to be published. They were just a personal
Yeah,
journal.
it was his diary. Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
someone's journal. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I would like if someone read in my journals, they would probably be like, also be like, there's repetitious things in here, you know. You work things out in journals, or you remind yourself of things.
yeah. Because it's like, humans just naturally we forget things, right? So it's kind of like good to remind yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Because it's
journal. Do you journal?
yeah, I actually do, funny enough.
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like journaling. It's kind of nice. Just like, writing like about whatever happened that day, right? Or just even reminding yourself, right?
Yeah.
How
Are
often
you
would you
still
say
there?
you journal? Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, how often do you journal?
It's become like an every other day thing for me, where I spend like maybe a good while doing it every other day. Yeah. Yeah, it's not anything. I don't have like a particular way that I do it. It's just like anything that's on my mind, like however I need to get it out. So like I'll draw like different little tables or symbols and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or you draw tables on there.
Yeah, I draw like tables, like different ways to set things up so it makes sense in my head when I go back
Oh,
and read
okay.
it.
I see what you mean. So like kind of like a
Yeah.
schedule.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Keeps me on track.
Yeah, I feel like that's what I do with my journal too, is I feel like it keeps me on track as well, honestly. Because I'll write like what I need to do tomorrow or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And then, I look back and it's like, all right, this is what I need to do.
Yeah, it helps you remember stuff very,
Yeah.
very well. Yeah. How long have you been journaling? Has it been?
It's probably been, I think since 2019, probably.
Oh, dude, talking about silver. Silver.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, you
it's a
got silver
necklace
too.
I got. Yeah.
And you got a silver necklace too.
Yeah. I wear it everywhere.
Oh, nice. We both have some silver on us.
Yeah, we're both always wearing silver.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. It's a Vegvasir. It's kind of Norse, but then I don't
Oh,
know if you can
is
see it
that
that
you said
well.
it's Norse?
Yeah, and then this side is a Ouroboros.
Oh, I think I've seen that symbol. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
serpent, right?
the serpent. Yeah, the
Yeah.
serpent swallowing its own tail.
Mm. What made you get that necklace? Just out of curiosity.
These were the two symbols that I saw, and I was like, wow, I really like both of these. So the Ouroboros, I like, right? Like there can't be creation without destruction, right? There's
Yeah,
equilibrium, you know. In order to move forward, you have to let go of things in the past, you know. It's like a reminder to aware of all these things. Yeah.
I like that concept because it's like when you sometimes gain something, you also lose something,
Yeah,
right?
that's how that works.
Yeah. I think I actually did talk to Umar about this on the podcast. Funny enough, like that concept.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah, letting go.
yeah. Because sometimes what he said about it is that it kind of like it happens unconsciously, like you're not even thinking about it, but then you realize
Mhm.
it's like, oh yeah, I left that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't have to be like a conscious thing. We're always moving.
Yeah, no, because yeah, that's true. Because it's like sometimes people will be like, I need to let this thing go, but then they never do, right?
Yeah, yeah. Maybe they're just staying in the same place, you know, like they won't let themselves move.
Yeah, yeah, like it could be like anything. It could be like a bad habit or whatever, right? Or a
Mm,
small thing, right? And it's like, when they try to let go, they can't. But then other times when, they get so busy with things, they might just end up letting go of it, just like unconsciously.
mm. Well, I guess yeah. We're all on a journey. Like we'll see what
Yeah.
things we hold on to and let go of.
I remember one thing you talked about was you read Plato, right? Some of his work.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think I might have read one of his books as well, or like a chapter from his book.
He has a really good I'm not sure if you're familiar with this. This is like my favorite one of his like thought experiments, right? And
Yeah.
it's the allegory of the cave. Have you heard of it?
Oh yeah, I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that one. Like the man, he is freed from the cave that the others are still in. Then he goes out and he sees everything. And when he comes back to tell them, they're like, we don't believe you. You're lying to us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That probably explains a lot of the society in general, probably.
Yeah, when especially when there's revelations that are made, you know,
Yeah.
um, of or like maybe even just being honest with ourselves about what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember I'm not sure if you read it, but like have you read the Apology of Socrates? I think
I
that
have
one.
not. I haven't read his apology.
Yeah. I think yeah, Plato was the one that documented it, but basically it's basically Socrates in court, right? And from what I remember, because I'm probably
Oh,
not gonna get all of it
yeah.
right, but basically what
Yes,
he
I
did.
have read this.
Oh, you read it? Okay, okay.
Yeah, I've read this. Yeah. What were you saying though? What were you bringing up?
Oh yeah, but basically like Socrates, like from what I remember, because it was a while ago that I read it, but basically what he says is that he's not really apologizing, but it's like more so like he's apologizing like about what he could have done more rather than about being wrong, I guess, because obviously he doesn't believe that he's in the wrong, right? Because the reason, obviously, as you know, is that the reason he was put on trial was he was supposedly corrupting the youth, right?
Yeah, that's what they said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any parallels to that, like in our modern time, like people who try to speak truth to people, and then they're like shunned for it? Do you think that happens?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there's like many times that's happened, like just throughout history in general.
Yeah. What do you think that slows our development at all? Like whenever
I
that's
mean, as
happening?
like a civilization, right?
Yeah, as a civilization.
I think it can, yeah, because I don't know if you've heard of the civilization cycle.
Well, I've kind of heard of it where like they go through like a rise and then a fall.
Yeah, it's basically like, civilization, like it starts, right? Then it goes up, then it goes up, then it climaxes, and then it goes down, and eventually, like, you know, usually civilizations destroy themselves rather than being destroyed by someone. Like, that's usually the
Yeah.
goal, right? Like,
Yeah, it's like an internal thing. It's not an
yeah,
external.
and that concept of history repeats itself. Like, I mean, it kind of comes from that whole civilization cycle.
Yeah, I think we've seen it repeat itself,
Yeah,
where like a civilization grows because it's strong and then it becomes decadent and then it becomes like a weak society because of its decadence.
yeah, exactly. Because I mean, sometimes I feel like we think of ourselves very unique from a historical
Hmm.
perspective, but when you read, obviously past books, right, or just about history in general, you'll be like, wow, they actually had a lot of the same problems that we do today, you know?
That's what I like about Paracelsus. When he was going around, he was talking about how the doctors are in bed with the government and how like there can't be good medical practices because the government is involved.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
He was
mean,
like, why aren't we letting the people who study this stuff and do this, why aren't we letting them be in control? Why are we letting the state? But like, yeah, he was talking
yeah,
about that. I was like,
no, that's true. Yeah, I mean, it's because it's like, whatever disease is out there, obviously, like the medical field in general, you can make money out of it, which is why,
yeah,
doctors are paid a lot, right? Or just anything in medicine, just in general, it has a high salary, right?
yeah, it does.
Yeah. I mean, everyone needs it, right?
Yeah, it's like something that we've already like created it. Well, it's not like we've created it, but we figured out how to do things, right? It's like
Yeah.
if we know how to do it, why aren't we helping as many people as we can?
Yeah, no, that's true. I think that's why um alchemists, right? They were trying to figure out immortality so that we would not have to rely on
Oh
the
yeah,
government, like, with
yeah,
like the whole medicine thing, right? Like
yeah.
obviously it's nice to live forever, right? At least in theory.
It would
But
be maybe. Like,
yeah,
what do you think? You would have to see everyone you love like die, unless like they
yeah,
also live forever.
yeah. It's also like not even just that, like you see everything, like every bad thing, right? But I guess you can also live through some good things too. But it's
Yeah,
like no, like if you were to ever be put through suffering, it would never end.
yeah,
It's
it would
also
just go on forever.
yeah,
Probably why it's not good.
yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah, yeah. I think immortality could be dangerous for humans.
Yeah, it's true. But I think like one of the things at least that the ancient people at least they believed in is that the way immortality truly is achieved is being remembered forever rather than living forever.
Yeah, yeah. Like having a legacy.
Yeah,
I think yeah, it goes into like making stuff as well, right?
yeah,
Like if you created something and like that is just you now forever.
yeah. No, that's true. So, before we end off, do you have any closing thoughts that you wanted to say?
Thank you for having me on here. Um, everybody, go read some alchemy books.
Alchemy book? No,
Yeah,
for sure. Do you have any
yeah.
in mind? Like any recommendations?
Specifically, so the titles are in German. I don't know anything by Paracelsus. Just read as much Paracelsus as you can. The Paracelsian literature, I think. really has a special place in alchemy. There's still people who are today trying to recreate his homunculus recipes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, there's people today still looking at those books and trying to do that stuff. It's interesting. It's always going to be interesting. Yeah. That's it. Thank you for having me on, man. It was a
Yeah, no
pleasure.
problem. Yeah, I was really honored to have you on here because I know like you have where you know a lot about different things. So, I had to have you on here. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you know a lot as well. Like you seem really good at like researching topics quickly and like
Yeah, no, for sure.
understanding. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
it's
I
good
like I
stuff.
like researching stuff in general, you know,
Yeah, that's
because
awesome.
I guess I'll give my closing thoughts, but basically, one thing that I try to describe myself to is like this thing that I call polymath mentality.
Mm.
And if you know what a polymath is, it's basically where you've heard of the concept, right? A jack of all trades, like
Yeah, yeah.
that.
Someone's like multidisciplinary.
Yeah, but I like taking it a step further and saying that trying to be as knowledgeable as you can in multiple fields, like I guess in a way, kind of like a master of many things. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And
Yeah, like a
yeah,
Renaissance man.
yeah, exactly. Literally like that. And I think that's honestly like if people weren't so one-dimensional in life, funny enough, just like it's bad to be one-dimensional in martial arts, right? A
Yeah,
lot of people are one-dimensional in life, right? And I feel like that's like the biggest downfall, right? You have to be um uh adaptive to like multiple things, right? Knowledgeable on multiple,
absolutely. Yeah.
just you know,
I
but
guess it's like that connection to being hard and soft, right? Like
exactly.
knowing, yeah, there are hard things that you need to do and there are soft things that you need to do,
Yeah. And
and
sometimes things
mixing
like kind
both.
of like in the middle.
Yeah, it's not always either. It's a spectrum.
Yeah, exactly. You know.
Yeah,
But if you enjoy this, I'd recommend all of you to like and subscribe and hit that
I
notification
like him.
bell so that you guys can keep seeing this content more and we can have more guests, just as Roderick here.
Yeah, it's a good show. Like and subscribe.
Yeah. Until next time, peace.